It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Samuel Clemens, also known as Mark Twain, great literary figure in United States history, brilliant thinker, intellectual, friend of Nikola Tesla. That may or may not be important later. If only we had the power to divine what is and is not absolute truth. We're not blessed with that. So we go with the best that we can, doing the best with the critical thinking skills that God gave us to discern what is true from what is not, and to prioritize accordingly with regard to what we know or think we know. Seems to me, as a pure matter of priority, with all of the things that we can discern that are both true and evil in this world, that we could probably do a little bit better with our focus. Unfortunately, pride and ego interfere. One of the reasons that I finally distanced myself from the quote unquote conspiracy crowd is that I realized that there is an inherent flaw in the nature of many in that community, and I realized that it had crept into my own psyche and intellectual makeup. That is to say, we like being down with the secrets, the mysteries, the things that they don't want you to know. Why? Because it's a pride thing. It's an ego thing. It makes us feel special that we have some secret knowledge that the unwashed and the brainwashed are not privy to. It makes us better than them somehow. And in that sense, rooted in that pride and that ego, it makes us no better than the college educated leftists that know nothing and hold themselves above us because of a paper degree on the wall. When it comes to prioritizing about things that we can verify, things that we know, well, you think the cause of humanity is better served looking at things that we know about and can verify. Human trafficking on a scale that a human being can barely comprehend. Millions of lives affected, billions of dollars changing hands for the most evil exploitation imaginable. This is something we can verify. People like Jeffrey Epstein running an intelligence operation, but that's a rant for another time, involving high-ranking politicians, global elites, all of whom were diddling children. Speaking of verifiable evil, and these are things that we know. On a somewhat lower level, we have an American president who is literally financially compromised to a dictatorship run by an ostensible Jew crawling with neo-Nazis and about to drag us into World War III. Seems like these would be things that we could focus on, get behind, try to redirect, try to keep our focus about, try to actually bring awareness to. But no. You see, we're going to spend time talking about how the wool's been pulled over our eyes and we're all living on a flat disc that doesn't move and the rest of the universe rotates around us. We're going to get caught up in empires that may or may not have ever existed. Theories that just upset everything about the historical record because we're smarter than you, because I know after my bong rips that it was Tartaria that built the Great Wall of China to keep the Chinese away from them. There was a mud flood. I'm not making this up, by the way. Feel free to Google it. There was a mud flood about 100 years ago that somehow the entire historical record seems to have missed. Then we get into things that, well, are right on the edge. Weather control is something that we know we are capable of as a species. And some of these conspiracy folks believe the same things about that. But how does one jive the physics on a globe necessary to control the weather inside an atmosphere on a sphere with a disk flying through space that you'll sail right off the end of? And the cover up that would be necessary to justify such a thing. I mean, I don't think it's that far out. We've got millions of otherwise intelligent people that believe that eating bugs is going to improve the weather somehow based on the testimony of this emotionally disturbed child. But can we acknowledge the parallels in stupidity and arrogance and failure to look at blatantly obvious facts right in front of our faces? Then again, you got people that want to say that this is the most destructive human being ever to walk the face of the planet, even as he elevates our species. But you see, he's part of the cover-up. He's launching rockets that don't actually go into space because there's a firmament above and we've never actually exited our own atmosphere. I don't even know what the hell is in cannabis products these days that pollute otherwise intelligent people's minds like this. I guess we can come back to Orwell. Some ideas are so stupid that only intellectuals believe them, and that speaks back to the arrogance of a lot of the conspiracy crowd. They like to fancy themselves intellectuals. See, here's the thing. Not to puff my own pecker, but I can say objectively and demonstrably that I'm more than likely smarter than you. But I don't let that govern what I am ready to disregard so I can feel special about the stuff that I know or think that I know. But the flat earth people and Tartaria people will tell you, hey man, I'm just over here drinking the Kool-Aid. Me. You guys that have known me for 20 years, I'm a Kool-Aid drinker now. How far have we gone, man? How far have we gone? But I'm going to stick with being a rube. I'm going to stick with being a deplorable. I'm going to stick with being an ignorant hillbilly, and I'll come down to an intellectual of all people to justify that. One of my favorite quotes of all time, Aldous Huxley: the course of every intellectual, if he pursues his journey long and unflinchingly enough, ends in the obvious, from which the non-intellectuals have never stirred. Maybe the problem is that the non-intellectuals are stirring from that position, and as a matter of pride and ego, fail to realize the limitations of their own intellect or the innate hypocrisy in what they choose to lay on people who are their infinite intellectual betters. Pull your head out of your ass and put the dab rig down, Sparky. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and I cannot stress this enough, certainly not employers. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to stretch open that cock holster and choke you with a big, fat dose of turgid, throbbing truth cock, whether you want it or not. Welcome back, boys and girls. It's time once again for the Sunday sermon. What the hell is wrong with people, man? We're going to get into it all. I'm on one today, baby, and that caffeine and steroids have got me. Everybody in for the drum roll. Coming hard, charging right out of the starting gate, as we always do, the bumper music. As always, Red Desert. Name of the band is Red Desert, gut stomping rock and roll band from the smoldering embers and ruins of the once great American city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. These guys kick ass, man. I really like it, and I hope at least some of you have Red Desert on your workout playlist or have downloaded some of their stuff from any of the streaming services or just outright bought some of their merch. These guys are top notch, bro, and I appreciate their music. I appreciate the fact that they're letting me use this track as bumper music after all this time and all this ranting and raving. Really great bunch of guys. Name of their band is Red Desert. Name of the track is Older No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. I don't think this is going to be one of those weeks, man. Trying to rein it in, man. Trying to rein it in. But sometimes the limitations of otherwise intelligent people are infinitely more frustrating than herd animals. I don't mind, right? If a dog runs up and pisses on my leg, do I want to kick the dog? Yeah, but what is he going to accomplish? He's a dog, right? He pissed on my leg. It's what dogs do, right? However, if a human being ostensibly capable of individual behavior and critical thought walks up and pisses on my leg, now we got a problem. This could be the trend talking. I'm not ruling that out. Appreciate you guys for being here, man. We got Deacon Mark on board, Brother Joel Allen Jackson, Bill Wade, better late than never. Hey, y'all. Hey, man, I'm glad you're here, Bill. I'm glad you're here. It's we're going to be going over a lot of stuff, and I guarantee you, man, I'm probably going to trim some folks off my friends list by the time this is over with, and I got no regrets, bro. I'm sorry. I walk in truth, dude. I walk in truth. And if that truth short dicks every cannibal on the Congo and hair lips every hillbilly on Buck Creek, so be it, man. So be it. Because I'm going to speak it. The important difference being, if I am confronted with facts and information that irrefutably contradict my preconceived notions, I can put it down. And that's where a lot of these knuckleheads and I differ. Give me the example, man. We're going to fade the bumper music out here and jump into this stuff. But, just the, once again, Red Desert, Older No Wiser, name of the band and the track. I'm really thankful for these guys, man. They've been really cool. I stumbled on them quite accidentally with a documentary that I happened to be watching years and years ago. And I just thought, man, that track is a gut stomper, man. And I looked them up online. I really dig what they have going on. So I was like, right on, cool. So in the early days of the COVID cast, we didn't really do bumper music and stuff like that. When I decided to bump it up a little bit, and actually that started as a joke for those of you guys who have been around and have been following this thing since the early days of the COVID cast. You remember the first time I ever did that music was towards the start of the pandemic, and I just showed up and I started the live stream, and I had this gas mask on and was just kind of dancing around like a lunatic with that song in the background. Everyone was like, dude, that is a jam, bro. That is a jam. We're like, yeah, it is, man. I really like it. So we've been using it, and I got in contact with the guys, and I was like, look, here's the deal. This is my thing. I do this. If you guys have a problem with my politics or anything with it, and you don't want me using your music, just let me know. And they've been really cool. So thanks for Red Desert. Brother Turtle Castle. All right, man. I'm so glad you're here. Ready for the sermon and that brick against the head honesty. Bro, we're gonna have it today, man. There are gonna be some slung bricks out there today, and it's gonna be unpleasant for everybody involved. A couple of sponsor shout outs I want to get out of the way real quick. Of course, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Roman, over at opiumtales.com. His lovely wife, Carrie, Roxy, and Allie, and the beautiful women that he paints over there. You guys find his book on Amazon, man. From Dork to Pimp Daddy, his journey of just, jumping into the watercolor thing and having beautiful naked women pay him for the privilege of painting them naked. You got that and the testosterone-driven commentary. It's a Reverend Bart trifecta. You guys are going to dig it. Please go check out and buy his book. It's definitely a worthwhile read. And again, Roman, one of my oldest and dearest friends, and I thank God for him. Also, Casey and Dusty Tellison from Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest, period. End of statement. Done. Sit down. Shut up. You're wrong. They're it. They are it. They are a gift from God for the Inland Northwest when it comes to smoked meat products. And not only did they smoke my holiday turkey again this year, but I'm going to be dumping off a very special meat smoking project over there this week for the Christmas festivities that are coming up. And I will be posting online about that. So, you guys, if you haven't already given them a like on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or any of the other social media platforms, Nordic Smoke Barbecue. Casey and Dusty Tellison. Dusty over there, the pitmaster. Casey now his own law practice. He's passed the bar. We need to have him on. He was actually the first live guest that we ever had, like right here in studio, like sitting next to me years ago. And we need to have him back on again, man, because his journey has just been fantastic. The success that he's had with the book, Freaks of a Feather, just really great stuff. Really great people, and I'm very blessed to be surrounded by such men. We are going to jump into it, boys and girls. Again, I had intended to be on a couple hours earlier. I am terribly sorry about that. I appreciate that a lot of you guys are going to be catching the replay, and that's totally fine. Also, I want to thank you guys in advance. In advance and retroactively, I want to thank a lot of you guys because I did see a lot of shares online. A lot of you guys reposted the replay of the sermon and stuff like that. You got Rob Detter, a buddy of mine from North Carolina. We go all the way back to high school days, and some of the other guys that have reposted. I don't have an actual list of everybody, but I want to thank you guys retroactively that posted for last week, and thank you guys in advance for reposting this week. That is one of the best things that you can do for me. When I pass around the offering plate, yeah, man, a little coin is always good, but the more reach that we have, you guys have heard me, some of you guys have heard me say this before, when it comes down to passing that offering plate around, I would rather have 500 people giving me $2, right, than to have 2 people giving me $500 each. Because for me, it is about the reach. I want to get it out there, and being out there. Brother Jude, I'm glad you made it. Extending that reach and getting the message out. It's what I feel called to do, and it's what I'm really pushing for. So when you guys are out there and you're reposting this stuff, and I know, believe me, I understand that for some of you guys, that is a personal sacrifice because I'm kind of a hot button item. I see a lot of controversial stuff, things that rub a lot of people the wrong way, things that are going to wind up with the office people getting an HR complaint, and to have the nuts, just the sheer balls and spine to step up and go, dude, I don't care. I like this dude. I'm going to repost him anyway. Thank you, man. I do not underestimate the importance of that sacrifice. So thank you, both retroactively who have already posted and those of you who repost going forward. Thank you for all of that. So let's jump into it, shall we? We're going to open, as we always do, with the segment, the one that a lot of y'all show up for, talking about Ryan's rabbit hole. Thank you very much. With a thunderous roar of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Every week we open with this segment. Well, most weeks, about 90% of the weeks we open with this segment. We started off a while back, started doing that, and it just turned into a really popular thing. One of the things that we bonded over, Ryan and I, early on, was the fact that we're both repositories of useless information. Whether it's esoteric or obscure or conspiratorial or historical, it's a whole lot of information. We're basically people you don't want to play a game of Trivial Pursuit with because we know a little something about damn near everything, including a whole lot of stuff that many people haven't heard of. And we bonded over that. And as a result, we started doing Ryan's Rabbit Hole. Every week we go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Sometimes it dovetails with the focus of the rest of the sermon. Some days it does not. Some days it's just a little poke into the bread oven, kind of take you off the beaten path, expose you to something that you may not have been familiar with, or refresh your interest in something you may have heard of in passing, but never really took a deep dive on. And this week, Ryan gave me a couple to choose from, and I think both of them would have been fine. And you'll see next week when we do Latimer. With the focus of it, which is the focus of the sermon, the focus of the program is about killing your illusions. It's about clearing your mental environment and avoiding distractions and being able to. The whole focus of this sermon is basically being able to look reality in the face, even when it rubs up against your narrative, even when it runs up against your cherished beliefs, your preconceived notions. And we talked a little bit last week because of St. Nicholas. We talked about the Council of Nicaea, where old St. Nick put down his bag of toys and walked up and punched a bishop in the face. The Christian religion, the Christian faith, and when I say the Christian faith, I'm going to be broad and encompassing here with regard to Catholicism and Protestantism and all of the infighting that is a necessity because of doctrinal differences there. We're not one big happy family, man. We fight a lot. We disagree intensely. But we discussed a little bit about the Council of Nicaea, the Ecumenical Council of Nicaea. And that is going to be the rabbit hole for this week, is the Council of Nicaea. But we're going in a different direction. Last week, we were here to talk about Nicholas punching Arius in the face, but we're going a little deeper this week. When people talk about the one and only inspired word of God, okay, let me be abundantly clear at the outset. And you've heard me draw this distinction before. I align with Christ. You understand? I walk with the boss man and the carpenter kid. I walk with no particular religion, quote unquote, or church, quote unquote. Bro, let me do what I do, okay? Let me do what I do. Because here's the thing. It was a challenge, man. You didn't even think I'd go there. So I did go there, all right? I let my balls drop. You freaking give me credit and just sit there. Damn it. Anyway. Everyone thinks that their version of whatever faith, whether it's Protestant denominations, whether it's Catholicism, whether it's Christianity versus Islam, whether it is any of the Abrahamic religions versus the pagan religions, everybody has this bug up their ass that theirs is the only one truth, that their version of the Bible, their holy book, is the one and only authority. And the one thing that we have to keep in mind, if we are honest, and what have I always said about the carpenter kid, what is the primary directive, is to walk in truth, and seek truth and strive to live honestly and in honesty, no matter what. So for me to sit here and tell you that the King James Version is the one and only inspired and infallible word of God, well, this may short dick a lot of pew warmers in a lot of suburban churches, but I'm not going down that road with you. Why? Because I understand history. Because I understand the fallibility of man, and not only the innate fallibility of man, but the innate drives that men, and we are all sinners and have fallen short. Everyone has an agenda, myself included. We may have agendas, we may have biases of which we are not even aware, and it doesn't matter because those biases still influence the way that we communicate. And when you look at a book, the importance of the Bible, what would be a good search term? What's a good, Ryan, go with me on this one. Council of Nicaea left out. There's a good starting point. The Book of Thomas. What? There was a Book of Thomas. There's no Book of Thomas. Yes, it was a Book of Thomas. I'll go you one better. There was a Book of Judas. Mr. Iscariot himself, the betrayer, had his own book, his own gospel, and it was omitted. Now you may be thinking to yourself, he sold out Christ for 30 pieces of silver. Why do I want his testimony? When you look at the perspective of his importance, And this is something that Ryan and I have discussed at length. Without Judas, you don't have your Savior. I'll sit here and wait for you to get your head around that for a minute. He betrayed Christ for 30 pieces of silver, and if he had not, then you have no crucifixion. He was just as much a part of the divine plan as anything else. And I would think if you really want an understanding of the deeper truth of what you profess to believe, I think his perspective might be an important thing to look at. Don't you? The Book of Mary. What? Yes. Left out. Deliberately left out. The Council of Nicaea. Here's the one that'll bake your biscuit. The Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch. What? Half of you are going, who the hell is Enoch? The ones that do, they know about it tangentially. Maybe a few of you have a copy of the Apocrypha. Maybe 3 of you have actually read it. But Enoch was so important in the original scriptures that he is one of only 2 other people that never faced death. Do you understand that? This is a man who was pulled out of he got to bypass the whole death and hell process prior to Christ, according to the scriptures, by the weight of God's own hand. Pulled him right off the earth. Seems to me like this might be a guy you'd want to know something about, if indeed you claim to be a follower and not, in the words of Soren Kierkegaard, it's the Bart and Ryan drinking game. Every time the word Kierkegaard is mentioned, you take a shot. By the end of the sermon, 3 people have died of alcohol poisoning. Sorry, not trying to make light of it. The Council of Nicaea had dishonest actors who were a part of that. Now, there were honest discrepancies. Again, like we discussed last week, Nicholas had a legitimate, he thought, ideological and spiritual difference with Arius. And so he stepped up and punched him in the freaking face. That was an honest dispute between men. However, there were dishonest actors on the ecumenical council who had specific political aims. Wait. Using religion to manipulate politics and politics to manipulate religion. Oh, no. That never happens. That only happens with those other people. Am I taking this and telling you that you need to disregard all of the scriptures? Am I taking this and telling you that you need to disregard even the King James Version of the Bible? That is not where I'm going at all. I'm very, very careful, owing to Jordan Peterson and before. Thank you. Yes. In the Book of Ruth. But, he had his own books, plural, that were left out. Books, more than one, plural, left out. I'll go you one better, though, Ryan. How many people who claim to be followers have actually read the Book of Ruth? How many people who claim to be followers, when I said Enoch, had any idea? And I need to, I'm not trying to put mine and Ryan's business out here on Front Street, but I think you guys have already seen the dynamic, right? Ryan is not a man of my faith, but he respects that faith. He knows the history and he knows my soul. So when you see him checking me, he's not doing what a lot of people out there do. A lot of people, oddly enough, who claim to be followers, taking those little jabs just for the sake of taking jabs. He's keeping me honest, and that is the most respectful thing any true friend could do. So I think in my circle, you guys are pretty solid about that. But if there is someone out there going, man, I don't know about this Ryan guy, shut your fucking face. because I love the man like my flesh and blood, and he has never and would never disrespect me on this matter. He was one of the first people that I spoke to after my epiphany. In fact, the first person that I spoke to when I got back to Salt Lake City from Texas. I say all that to say this. When he is taking the piss here and saying, hey, you need to take another look at the Council of Nicaea and what they left out and why, he is not doing it to disparage the faith. He's doing it to remind people that if you're going to claim a faith, then know what the hell you're putting on your shield. And so that's the rabbit hole for this week. I want you guys to look into the Council of Nicaea. I want you to look into the Apocrypha. There's another search term. The Apocrypha, which is a volume of all of the works that were left out of the Council of Nicaea. I want you to take a look. Do a deep dive on the book of Enoch. Do a deep dive on the book of Judas. You're going to find people who have conflicts even on those books who say that the book of Judas was not. I love you, brother. Who are going to say that the book of Judas wasn't even authored by Judas. That it was a secondhand perspective of what Judas must have been processing in his head when he was processing selling out his Lord, his Savior, for 30 pieces of silver. Nobody is ever going to be 100% agreed. But if you are going to walk in truth and you are going to walk in faith, then understand your limitations. You want to know how I know when I'm dealing with someone honestly in questions of faith? When I can come to them with something that is either completely obscure or not in their wheelhouse, and they say, brother, I don't know. Brother, I am the wrong person to ask about that. I'm not trying to trip them up, but I've got legitimate questions. And there are people out there who have legitimate answers, and I'm trying to find those answers. But first and foremost, know what you do not know. You guys tracking? The more you know, the better off you are. But the more that you know, the more that you realize just how much is left to be known. And as long as we're talking about biblical directives, when it comes down to humility, I better humble your ass. I walk out with that Crusader cross on my shield. But if somebody asks me about something and I don't know, you tell them that I don't know. That's what separates a follower from an admirer. Again, getting back to Kierkegaard. Take a shot. So that's your rabbit hole for the week. Because the focus of this sermon is going to be on doing away with illusions. Doing away with illusions, clearing your mental environment, and being familiar enough and safe enough in your own intellect to say, I don't know. But to still have the strength and integrity to buck that chest up when you do know and say, here is where I stand. Council of Nicaea, Book of Enoch, Apocrypha. Those are your search terms. That is your rabbit hole for the week. And thank you, Ryan, for that. We'll do Latimer next week. Because you know what? I think, honestly, I think the Latimer thing probably would have worked with getting rid of illusion. I think I could have folded it in, but not only did this work better with the focus and the direction where I was hoping to go, but I did take it, whether you intended it or not, it kind of came off as a challenge. And I was like, you know what? You know me. I won't step away from controversy. I won't step away. And I was like, yeah, this is something that needs to be said. Because if I'm going to tell people to walk in honesty, that's got to be my own people too, man. That's got to be people who are wearing that same Crusader cross on their shield, but maybe their armor's a little rusty. You feel me? So I did want to address that, and Ryan, I appreciate you putting it to me like that, because it actually wound up being more uh, a lot more in line with the light that I'm trying to bring to folks. So we can do Latimer another week. But thanks, brother. Thank you. What? Shepherd? Yes, thank you. I'm one of the four horsemen of the Apocrypha. That's pretty. Oh, Joey, man. All right. Well, of course it's going to be Joey. Hell, man. Yes. Yes. Also, hell, man, while we're there, there's another couple of search terms for you. You understand, we are trying to lift people up, and that's going to be something else we're bringing up, man. We are trying to lift people up. We are trying to elevate people. And when we can take you out of your comfort zone and force you to look at things you might not have looked at, it cannot help but expand your horizons. And once you realize how much there is left to know and how little an intellectual or spiritual or any kind of authority you actually are, it'll humble your ass. And with any luck, it'll motivate you to go even deeper. That's the main thing. So anyway, that was the rabbit hole for the week. And let's jump into the importance of clearing one's mental environment, because it dovetails exactly with what we're getting to here. We walk around polluted. On the one hand, and again, I'm not going to get into the cliche stuff of we live in a time that is unprecedented. Nobody needs that. We already know. We already know what we're looking at. We allow ourselves to be distracted. I have a friend. I may not have this friend by the time this sermon is over, who has fallen into this flat earth stuff. Okay, cool. There are far worse ways. We'll come back to that. That's not where I wanted to open. I mentioned this in passing last week, and I mentioned it not to thump my chest, and I mentioned it not as a testimony to any sort of religious insight, but very recently, like within the last few weeks, I've cleared out my entire internet porn folder. What? Yeah, some of you out there are like, what? Legendary pervo, dude, what's going on? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. The urges are still there. Lust is definitely one of my weaknesses when it comes to seven deadlies. I didn't do it because I was avoiding being tried. I didn't do it because I was avoiding temptation. I did it because I realized it was polluting my mental environment. You guys have noticed that I have engaged less and less in matters of politics damn near not at all on my personal page. On the fan page, you get maybe a little bit. Why? Because it was polluting my mental environment. The world is going to be what the world is going to be. You understand that? And spinning your wheels in politics, something you have absolutely no control over. Do you think I have any impact? Do you think I have any impact on the 2024 election? Me as an individual? Yes, I am all about voting. Yes, I am all about representative democracy. Yes, I am all about, constitutional republics. Yes, I'm all about all of that. Not only that, but I won't tolerate the black pill crowd, which is, well, it's over anyway, man. They're just gonna rig it. All right, dude, look, if that's where you're at, kill yourself. Of course, that comment just got me probably banned from YouTube for this video, but whatever. If legitimately that's where you're at, it's over, man. Game over, man. Shut the hell up, Hudson. You guys that are James Cameron fans, shut the hell up, Hudson. Game over, man. Game over. Kill yourself. End it. End it. Because not only are you dead weight, but you are legitimately tearing down people that are trying to do some freaking good in the world. I went off on a couple of tirades this week about the nature of that. And people who are actually trying to tear down good in the world. It's bad enough when you're pissing on someone who is trying to elevate themselves. It is exponentially worse, in my opinion, when you are pissing on people who are legitimately bringing good to the world because you don't like the way that they go about it. And most of the people who are those detractors have not even given it thought. Rich people bad. Me. Any broke son of a bitch ever give you a job? Any poor guy out there making efforts to make us an interplanetary species? Any broke guy completely revolutionize the way the entire world does commerce in the span of 20 years? Yeah, I got to give Bezos his props too. Bezos isn't one of those people who I feel like is really trying to do good in the world. What I'm saying is you can't just hate on the guy blindly. You guys know how I feel about Elon. I'm not going to sit here and deny that I'm a total fanboy, but here's the thing. When Elon does screwed up stuff, I got to call him on that screwed up stuff. That little joke where he dressed as the devil, very poorly timed, brother. Very poorly timed. And you've heard me say it, and I stand by it. You can definitely make the case that the man is the Antichrist. You can legit make that case. And here's the thing. If it comes out that he wants everybody to take the mark and he turns out to be the great beast, you want to know who's going to be the first person to step up and go, I was wrong? But again, it's a matter of honesty. We allow ourselves to be polluted with all this stuff. We've got to hate Elon because he's rich. We've got to hate Trump because he's Trump. We've got to hate the other side. We've got to get involved in this political thing and that political thing. And what I realized, just like the porn, and worse, because the porn, at least there's a little bit of a shame factor for most human beings. Not for me, but for most. It's very polluting. I'm not going that black pill route. I'm not going Pollyanna by a damn sight. You guys know me better than that. But this whole becoming obsessed with things over which I have no control is polluting to your mental environment. Pornography, polluting to your mental environment. Am I above porn? No. In fact, probably within arm's reach, since we are in the office there. Hang on. I'm betting if what I think is in here. Yep. Oh, what do you know? Yep. Whole little envelope of porn DVDs, and it's still within arm's reach if I want to go through the effort. The point is this. When it's on demand like that, and you literally can't sit down, that's a limitation to me. Not everybody has that limitation, right? But what I found was it was taking up space in my brain that could have been better spent, devoted to something else. And so I decided to make that move. The politics, same thing. It was taking up space in my brain that I felt was better served trying to elevate people on an individual level. Here's one of the things. This is from 6 days ago. Far worse than pissing on a single individual trying to better themselves is pissing on an individual with demonstrated success at bettering the lives of many. The former is just maggot level weakness. The latter is morally repugnant. And I didn't see until just now, but Coach Pat Miletich actually commented on that. The rise in narcissism is being driven by the nuclear psyops and directed environmental and pharmacological chemical warfare. The narcissist is held in high regard. Coach Pat, if you're watching, that is absolutely true, and thank you for the comment. Again, not going Pollyanna by a damn sight. Not by a damn sight. But it's important to realize that elevating yourself, elevating your station, making yourself a better individual, and bringing people in your circle up around you, it's a far more efficient use of your resources. There's another one from December the 9th. Okay. This week's sermon's kind of been boiling up in one way or another for a couple of weeks. This is from December the 9th. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not here to engage, nor argue, nor spin my wheels in useless rage trying to save people committed to drowning. Let me say that again. Spin my wheels in useless rage to save people who are committed to drowning. It takes a lot of discernment to be able to do that, because some of those people who are committed to drowning, they may be your family. They may be people who call themselves your friends, and you've allowed them to stay there. Dumb move. They may even be your spouse. God help you. I want to uplift. I want to strengthen. I want to help people find the peace that has eluded me due to my own pride, arrogance, and folly, and keep them from making the same mistakes. I don't need to be right. I have enough confidence in the case. If I decide to make it, I'm going off. This isn't part of the post. I have enough confidence in the facts and the background of what I have based my accepted beliefs on. Whether it's politics or social structure or economics or guns or steroids or nutrition or any of the I don't need to be right. I don't have that need to be right. I know when I'm right. I don't need to prove it to anyone else who seeks to make sure that I'm wrong when I'm not, if that makes any sense. I don't need to be right, and I have less than zero regard for anyone who needs me to be wrong. I've cut people out of my life left and right. My birth mother, who was barely back into my life and caught herself trying to judge me, gone. Toxic. No room. I offer what I offer. I hope it serves you. If it doesn't, scroll on. Detach. Truth is, you probably weren't going to show up for my wedding or my funeral anyway. We got into that a little bit last week. The world does a good enough job of tearing things down. I no longer have the time nor the inclination. I hope your path gives you comfort and pleasure, since those are the things that motivate you. As for me and mine, I will be out here chasing truth, growth, and strength. All of you are welcome. None of you are necessary. I'd rather embrace my brothers than engage with idiots. God bless. That was the post. The world does a good enough job of tearing things down. How do they do that? Because they pollute that mental environment. They pollute the mental environment with distractions and brightly colored bells and whistles and stupidity and insipidness and material nonsense and distractions, and we sign right up. You understand? We sign right up. Every second that we spend focused on somebody else's idiocy and distractions is a second that we do not spend improving ourselves. Every second that we spend in, you ready for this hashtag, intellectual masturbation is a moment that we do not spend focused on things that we not only can, but should be taking effective countermeasures towards. Just on the porn thing, humor me. How long does it normally take one of you guys, and please don't feel obligated to answer this question. How long does it take one of you guys to rub one out? If you're anything like me, I'm committed, dude. Like if I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound, bro. It's either, it's 30 to 45 minutes or don't start. Even assuming you're not that guy, even assuming you can handle your business, quote unquote, in 5 minutes or less. How many push-ups could you have done in 5 minutes? How many pages in a legit book could you have read in 5 minutes? How many insights could you have obtained in that 5 minutes if your head was clear instead of focused on distraction? Porn's the easy one, but politics, same thing, man. Same thing. Do I really give a damn about Joe Biden? No. Why? Because he's not running the show, and it wouldn't matter because outside of massive vote swinging or terminal ballistics, I have no control over that situation either way. So why am I letting it cloud me? Sonny is very fond of saying separating the sinner from the sin. We're all sinners. We're all sinners, and we all fall short. But I don't have to address the sinner. I don't have to address it. I don't have to participate. Some things rise to the level where you're having to address the sin. When you got people that are advocating for cutting the cocks off of 13-year-old boys as gender affirming care, now I got to deal with your sin, bro. But if you want to tell me that I'm a fat shaming bigot because I think Southwest shouldn't be giving extra seats to fat fucks for free, all right, man, be a sinner on your own. I don't need to be right. I carry on with my life. I affect the things that I can affect. I turn friends on to books that I think will help them out. I'll send Jordan Peterson lectures to people who I know are in a bad place in their life. Johnny, looking at you. I say, take whatever wisdom you can get from this. That gets back to my thing too about people who are pissing on, you're not even pissing on somebody else's candle. You're pissing on the guy who's out here lighting candles. You're pissing on him. Morally repugnant. You don't dig Jordan Peterson? Fine. But you're going to sit there and slag on him because all your friends slag on him. You've never read a damn thing he's written. You've listened to maybe 3 minutes of a soundbite on one of his lectures. You have no idea what he's about. But you just spew the same nonsense that your little circle for. he's a dumb person's idea of a smart person. Bro, you didn't even come up with that thought on your own. He's brought measurable improvement to thousands of lives, man. And he's done it from a position of honesty. Well, Bart, you could make the same argument for Joel Osteen. Yeah, you could, but you couldn't. A, because he's not coming from a place of honesty. There are a lot of people who have done a lot of good, who have brought strength to people's lives, who have brought direction to people's lives. And, if you're it's like making fun of the fat guy, right? It's bad enough that you're making fun of the fat guy who's at the gym putting in the work. That's weak, making fun of the fat guy at the gym. What's weaker than that is getting in the middle where he's got two people alongside of him who are trying to give him tips, who are trying to bring him up, and getting into their mix and being like, dude, man, who cares about this fat bastard? Dude, get your ass back under some iron with the real people. And I'm going to tell you something. There have been times in my life where I was that guy on both sides, where I was the fat guy trying to improve myself in the gym. And then I went polar opposite direction, got puffed up in that ego, puffed up in that pride. That is polluting to your mental environment as well. The pride and the ego. You got to lay that shit aside, man. Lay it down. Discernment can be rough. Sometimes people look like they're trying to do good for themselves or trying to do good for others when they're really not. Sometimes we get fooled. But focus when you see something like that and really apply that discernment. And before you go pissing on somebody, ask what you're really pissing on. This guy's out here trying to change lives, but he doesn't do it the way you think he ought to. He's got opinions that don't sit right with you, so screw that guy. Weak. Just weak. And again, I'm not going to let your weakness pollute my mental environment either. I don't need to dress you down. I don't need to drag you up by the collar and call you out in front of all your weak little friends on some internet thread with a bunch of people that don't know me and point out how weak you are. I'm content to let you be weak on your own. Separating the sin from the sinner. Again, go be a sinner, bro. Don't make me confront your sin. Don't screw with anybody whose candle I'm trying to light. And we're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine. But it's another thing entirely. It's another thing entirely. There are outside factors that will constantly try to pollute that mental environment. Don't feed into them. It's another thing entirely to let your own thoughts cloud you. And that's really where it gets into what I was addressing earlier. Trying to think of a way to. Late to the party, got to replay the beginning. Like, hey, brother, I'm just glad you made it, Stone. Glad you made it. Love you, bro. Good night. Hey, Roger. Dude, that means a lot, bro. That really means a lot. I'm sorry, I was over on the other screen. Thank you for that, Roger. Roger is known him since he was a kid, and he has turned into a really, really exemplary man. Man of faith, man of God, man of character. I never doubted you, Roger. Never doubted you. Even when you were punching me in the face. Especially when you were punching me in the face. Don't allow your own thoughts to cloud that judgment. Because there shouldn't be anything to cloud that judgment in your own thoughts. If you are living honestly, if you are staying true to your principles, if you are staying true to growth and strength and wisdom, honesty, commitment, if you are staying true to that, realize that any doubts that crop up are just tools of the deceiver, man. Father of lies, getting up in your head, trying to spin you up over nothing. Give it to God and stay the freaking course. The next two bullet points that I wanted to get into today, um, illusions that can kill you and staying hard to kill in your old age. The older we get, hopefully the wiser we get, and some of the illusions should fall away. But you've got to be ruthlessly honest, not just with yourself, but the people around you. I'm speaking to a lot of the so-called men out there right now that like to think themselves badasses because they pack every day. Make no mistake, you should be packing every day. That's not the issue. They pack every day and they think that's enough. They lift every day and they think that's enough. Even worse, they have these illusions, the most dangerous myths, and you've heard me go over them before, that under pressure they're going to rise to the occasion. Mama bear syndrome. There's another one. That's another one's a personal favorite. I'm on a couple of Christian prepper groups on Facebook, and I've thrown some things out. I haven't elaborated on my own background, really. I haven't elaborated on my own skill sets or any of the things that I've learned or acclimated to over the years. But I find it disturbing how many people. Here's one for you. Here's one. And there's definitely an overlap. This is the thing about mindset and how people will tell you who they are without telling you who they are. You guys who are Christians, you understand the concept of the rapture, yes? You understand the book of Revelation. They go into the 7-year tribulation. And there are two schools of thought on the rapture and the tribulation. Actually, three schools of thought. One group just doesn't believe the rapture is going to happen at all. And there are others who believe that the rapture is going to be a post-tribulation thing, that the followers of Christ are going to have to go through that 7 years. Many of us are going to be martyred, and we don't get to go out the way, folks like me and you dream about going out with, guns up and let's rock. And no, we might just be standing there with cameras in our faces while the world watches our throat get cut. Praying with all our strength that the last word that escapes our lips before the airway gets cut off is Christ. I could handle going out like that. This is the point. The pre-tribulation people, it's almost a 100% overlap between the pre-tribulation rapture people and the people who are either completely unprepared or dangerously uninformed. They have this thing in their head, and I think this translates to a lot and transcends to a lot of secular levels as well, that God is just somehow going to magic them off the face of the earth before the really bad stuff starts happening. And they believe this with all their heart because they are invested in it. Why are they invested in it? Because they know that physically they've made no effort. They know that they haven't trained. They got a couple of knives they keep on their belt, sexy little karambit, but they don't train with them. They got an arsenal of, $1,200 rifles, and they got 50 cents worth of shooting skills. Excuse me. They want the appearance. They are woefully unprepared. A lot of the pre-tribulation people and the couple of discussions that I've started up legitimately believe those all-encompassing illusions Mama bear syndrome, man. If they came for my kids, I'm just gonna that adrenaline rush. No, they come for your kids, and you're untrained. You're gonna get raped in front of your children, and then probably horribly killed. Maybe killed, then raped. We saw that happen with happen with Hamas last month, didn't we? Under pressure, you think you were going to rise to the occasion. I have no illusions about what I'm capable of, or more to the point, what I'm not capable of. I am 54 years old. I still smoke. I'm going to do a hell of a lot better than most guys in my age demographic. G Dub. Haven't seen the It Could Happen Here video that came out of Europe a few weeks ago. Oh no, G Dub, come on. Come on, brother. You know me better than that. You know me better than that. G Dub doesn't have any illusions. Once upon a time, G Dub and I were very, very similar fat asses. I just happened to lift more than he did. But even on the road, out there trucking, even up in the last frontier, he's putting in the work now, trying to get strong. What does this have to do with the pre-tribulation versus post-tribulation people? Here's the thing. It's real easy to get invested in the idea that somehow you are going to be able to avoid catastrophe, that some magical force is going to keep you from harm when the bad thing happens, when the bad people come. Some magical force is going to miracle your ass out of the fire. For the pre-tribulation people, they think that before everybody's going to be forced to accept a mark in their hand or their forehead, before people start starving to death, before families get drug out and their throats cut because they won't renounce God, that God's just going to snatch them off the face of the earth. God's going to magic their ass away, and they get to sit up there because, and again, I'm going to say this, and a lot of you may disagree, but this is where I think a lot of it is rooted in, is that arrogance. It's arrogance and pride. And this is going to tie into the flat earth and Tartarian nonsense here in a little bit. They want to think, I'm gonna be saved because I'm smarter than these people. Is that a demonstration of lack of faith on my part? No, it's not. It's not. I believe I am a follower of the boss man and the carpenter kid. I don't think that makes me better than anybody. Certainly not on a level where I deserve to be magicked the hell out of the fire before the real heat starts burning. A lot of these people, it does come down to arrogance. They don't want to confront their own pride. A lot of these are the same pew warmers that hold themselves above people who look a little rough around the edges when they show up in this church. Not all of them, man. Not all of them. Some of them just don't know. But it's that arrogance. I deserve to be spared from the fire because I know something that they don't. God's going to magic me out of here. How is that really any different from the mama bear syndrome crowd? Well, if my kids were under threat, I'm just going to pull some magical ninja stuff right out of my butthole and I'm going to rise to the occasion and the adrenaline's going to dump and I'm going to turn over cars. And no, you're not. Stop holding yourself above everybody. You want the privilege, you want the results, put in the work or don't. You get to make the choice whether or not you put in the work. It's cool. If you're not up to it, I truly pray that you're right and that God does magic your ass out of here. But if you're wrong, If you're wrong, not only do you turn into a detriment to yourself, those people around you, but you actually become a tool for the adversary. Do you understand that? These people believe right down to their spine and their balls that God's going to magic them out of it. And when that doesn't happen, and they find themselves on the face of the earth watching their neighbors get called out, do you think they're going to call out to God? These weak, arrogant people, do you think they're going to call out to God? Forgive me, Lord, I was wrong. Give me the strength to persevere. Or are they going to break weak, take that mark, and start turning in their neighbors? I'm just being real, y'all. What we like to think about ourselves does not line up with the way it goes under pressure. One guy out there right now, one of my stalkers, he's out there and he's watching and he thinks that sexy little karambit's going to save his ass. He never trains. He doesn't even lift anymore. Hadn't punched a bag in at least 8 months. But he'll talk a good game about fuck around and find out, fuck around and find out. It's going to be fun until somebody calls that fuck around bluff. And then guess who gets to find out? And I'm not worried about him. He's inconsequential to me. Absolutely inconsequential to me. You know who I worry about? His child. His old lady. Young lady. Because they're counting on someone that presented himself as someone who could be trusted. I don't condemn him. Like I said, man, what it comes down to is that arrogance. He can't get past his own illusions. He legitimately thinks that he's just going to rise to the occasion. And it's not even, he's a nickel's worth. He's a nickel's worth. They're out there, man. They are the rule, not the exception. Even among the tactical TED circles, man. How many times have you heard that? I'm not worried about it. I'll just shoot him. When was the last time you trained, bro? Yeah, I mean, I went out to the range this last weekend. Okay, right. You went out to a static range where you took your time and you lined up your sights and you placed your shot. When was the last time you did anything resembling how things really roll in a fight? Am I saying I'm king shit and I'm going to come out on top and I'm going to whoop everybody's ass and I'm going to... No. I'm saying that I'm out here putting in the work every damn day just so I have a coin toss of a chance. Particularly at my age, man. You kidding me? I'm 54 years old. That'll take us to the next bullet point. Times of extreme stress, folks always default to the level of training. You know what? Yes and no. Yes and no. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Let me expound on that a little bit. Because I see this in all the self-defense seminars that I've ever taught, any of the combative stuff I've ever taught. There are two very dangerous myths. Dangerous myth number one is that under pressure, you will rise to the occasion. Absolute horseshit. You and I both know it. The second dangerous myth, right? You're on the right track, bro. I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay, let me be abundantly clear, but hear me out on this one. Is that under pressure, you default to your level of training. That is true, but it's not. The true full sentence is that under pressure, you default to your lowest level of mastery. You feel me on that, Doug? Here's the example. Conservative estimate, I probably know, like a dozen different, a little over a dozen different takedown techniques that I picked up through wrestling, jits, whatever. In any street scrap or bar scrap that I've ever been in, I've used a grand total of 4. And one of those only once. And because they're the ones that I could hit in my sleep, right? Basic single, basic double. If I get around the side, belly to back. And one time and one time only, I hit a fireman's carry. because I was trying to get a single and dude wouldn't give it up. And he dropped his arm down to counter my neck. And I'm like, oh, cool. There's a, and I thumped him once. And that's the thing, Doug, because you've been in it. You can't teach somebody mastery of anything, in a short period of time. So what happens is they default to their coarse motor skills. This is one of the strengths that with Tony Blauer, and you guys know, look, that Coach Blauer is my friend. You know that I am certified under him. You know that I believe in his system, that I train in it, that I instruct people. You know this, okay? Full disclosure. But that is one of the strengths of the Spear system, is that it defaults to startle, flinch, response, and coarse motor skills. Hands up, push away, danger. That's why it works so well with people that haven't trained at all. But Turtle, I'm with you, bro. I mean, I am with you. Don't think that I'm like, oh man, that Turtle doesn't. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, just narrowing that focus a little bit. People need to know. People need to know that they are not going to rise to that. People need to know that a fight doesn't look like anything that they actually train for. Good, Doug. I'm glad. I'm glad. I want to make sure I was communicating clearly on that, because man, me and you, like, respect, brother, respect. Here's something that I like to do. Just a little poke into the bread oven. And this dovetails on the other bullet point about being trying to stay hard to kill as you get older. One of the things that I like to do is going out here in this cold basement here in this Spokane winter, and absolutely from cold. No warm up, no stretch, no anything. Are you risking injury? Yes, I'm absolutely risking injury. But hear me out. Grab a 55-pound kettlebell. Do 50 swings. 50 chest level swings. None of this American swing, CrossFit over your head stuff. 50 Russian swings with a 55-pound kettlebell, and then sprint over to the heavy bag, and for 60 straight seconds, deliver nothing but power shots. Hook, cross, hook, cross, hook, 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 cross, 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 right? Power shots, 60 straight seconds. That's a fight. You understand? Heart rate spiked, elevated, and still having to deliver with power for 60 straight seconds. People who don't train do not have any concept of how long 60 seconds is under pressure. These are illusions that people hold on to. That, well, I've got a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I did a couple of AMI MMA fights, and you're in a parking garage. You're in a parking garage at 3:00 in the morning with a dude who outweighs you by 20 pounds and or has a chunk of steel he's ready to throw in your guts. What now, Sparky? Well, yeah, but see, that's why I carry my gun every day. Okay, great. That's great, man. You got a gun. Do you do dry work? Are you familiar with dry work? How quick can you deploy, and how reliably can you do it under pressure? Can you switch hands? Can you switch hands and put rounds on target on the move? Can you do it with a handgun? Can you do it with a shotgun? Can you do it with a rifle? How much do you really know about blade skills? Getting back to Captain Karambit, it's a very sexy blade, bro. And you got a great deal on it. I will feed it to you. Because determined adversaries tend to neutralize that sexy little point and the sweet curvature of that blade. You don't train. I promise you. Determined adversary under pressure, you're not going to be able to, you're not even going to get it deployed. You're not even going to deploy that blade. And if you do, you're going to get buried with it. Gun guys, I'll just shoot him. I hope you're out there listening, because I'm calling you out too. Please understand, let me reinforce this. None of this that I'm saying right now is about, look at me, I'm the big tough badass and I train, so I'm going to whoop your ass 10 times out of it. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I put in the work that I do, so I've got a coin toss of a chance. If you're not putting in the work, what do you have? A wink and a prayer? Even a prayer is only good if you're a person of faith. And a lot of you guys out there don't walk. Magic is not going to save you. God is not going to magically pull your ass out of the fire. Getting back to the pre-tribulation people, this overlap. People get invested in the illusion because the illusion lets them go without having to confront their own failings, without having to confront their own shortcomings, without having to address the issues and make the necessary improvements. So they get sucked in to that illusion and they cling to it tenaciously. Those illusions will get you killed. You will not rise to the occasion. You will default to your lowest level of mastery. And for those of you who don't train, that's nothing at all. If you're smart, you will find a spear system instructor who can at least teach you how to weaponize the startle flinch response. There's a lot of wisdom in that. It's one of the reasons why I gravitate so hard to Coach Blower and that system that he's put together. Can't complain about the lack of results from the work you didn't put in. Stone, you nailed it, sir. I have hundreds of hours of live fire work under my belt, none of which happened in the last 3 years. I've been really worried about that later. It is a perishable skill. I want you guys to look at this. Look at that. Take a look. I want you to read it. All right. Okay. Did you get to the end? Go back and read it again. Obviously, you're not out there having to do live fire. Most people can't afford the ammo these days. Airsoft exists. Dry fire practice laser systems are out there. They exist. A couple $100 spent on that is $1,000 that you won't have to spend for ammo, and the skills will translate. Particularly with regard to airsoft, if you're doing force on force, make sure you got your iPro. Don't shoot. Fight. First class I ever did with Brother Sonny in 2011. That was one of the things that he said early on that immediately got my attention. You learn to shoot on your own time. You come train with me, you learn to fight. Doug, guns to knives, they better understand that. Yeah, they better understand the total drill and the disadvantages of being surprised by someone who's already made the decision to do harm to them. Right? How many people are even familiar? How many people even know about the OODA loop? Doug, how many people even know? Right? Toller drill. Man, I wish you'd have said something earlier because I've actually got a picture of myself with Dennis Toller. Yeah, he was actually on my Glock Master Gunsmith class. He was actually my instructor, so I actually got to sit and hold court with Dennis Toller. And keep in mind the 21-foot rule is no longer even the 21-foot rule. It's the 21-foot guideline because you guys like out there like Markida, right? You got guys like Markida who's working with instructor Zero, right? And some of the drills that they're doing, it's no longer the 21-foot rule. It's the 21-foot guideline. But guess what? If this guy's untrained, it's a freaking rule. 21 feet, somebody with a knife out, deployed, coming after instructor freaking Zero, as opposed to guy with a knife out running at a dude who has no freaking idea, but I brought my gun. You brought a knife to a gunfight. He didn't bring a knife to a gunfight. You brought a paperweight to your own execution, Sparky. How does that feel? I didn't mean to get off on this much of a tear about it. OODA loops. OODA loops, the breakfast of survivors. Here we go. Here's the long and the short of it. Getting invested in illusions, whether you're a man of faith, whether you're completely secular, you would better be able to look unpleasant realities in the face. Ladies, specifically, I'm talking to you. For all the puffed up BS that cancerous feminism has given you, you will never. My God, Bart, you teach women's self defense and you're spouting this? Yes, I said what I said. You will never be the physical equal of the average man. Truth number one. Truth cock number two. Kick him in the balls doesn't take him out of the fight. Speaking of, when we did the women's self-defense classes, this was something that I did to dispel a lot of myths. Myself and Mikey, oh man, Mike Shaw, love him. Dear friend of mine, looks after my house, and he's doing very well in school right now. Dear friend, we used to teach these classes together, and every class we would dispel a myth. In one class, where we had access to showers and Maalox and cornstarch and stuff to neutralize it, he actually took pepper spray in the face. And because we ran a scenario where the woman had her hand on the can of pepper spray and he executed the mock attack, and she hosed him like a can of Raid on a cockroach, and she wound up choking on her own pepper spray, and he was still able to take her down and hold her. This was the kind of stuff that we would do. I don't care what you theoretically, especially like these law enforcement classes, I would always get disappointed in the cops because you people know better. Stun guns had a class that we did. I will try to find the video and post it later. But one of the girls gave her 950,000 volt police grade stun gun. In her hand, safety off. I said, I am going to take you down. You use that stun gun to prevent me from taking you down. She hit me 14 times, everywhere from the neck to the nutsack. I was still able to take her down twice, and the second time hold her there. Ladies, what have we learned about stun guns? Kicking the balls thing. Oh, you did that? Yes. Yes, I did that. Same very class. Put an MMA glove on one of the girls, and I was like, I'm going to require that you punch me in the dick. What? Punch me in the dick. She ragged me. Half-ass. I said, make me believe it, please. A little bit harder. I'm really going to need you to put some smoke on that. She hauled off and she clocked me really, really, really good. Keep in mind, even with steroid testicular shrinkage, they're still there and they're still hanging. She clocked me really, really hard. I turned to the rest of the girls in the class and I said, okay, ladies, in about 30 to 40 seconds, this is going to be exceedingly painful. But right now, I'm still conversational. So what does that tell you about kick them in the balls? Y'all got to let go. Y'all got to take a look at the realities of violent situations. Yeah, Roger, I know you know. Roger, I know you know. But again, this is the difference between me and a lot of people. I'm not going to tell you what theoretically is supposed to work. I'm going to show you that it either does or it doesn't. I will tell you, and this is from personal experience, that I would not be shilling for anything that I did not personally believe in. But for an untrained woman, it is going to be very, very difficult to beat the spear system as a baptism by fire. If I've got 4 hours to teach you life-saving skills. Sorry, but there it is. I could, if I were going to recommend that you were training knife skills, right? And dirty, down and dirty, up close, bad breath distance stuff, I would turn you on to Brother Sonny. I would tell you to get your ass down to Fort Honey Badger and train with this man. Because one of the places where we are most solidly bonded is the fact that we're not going to bullshit you. If something is bullshit and we know it to be bullshit, we're going to tell you it's bullshit. And we're going to do the best that we can to give you skills to save you. Shit. Why is it you always manage to show up when I'm either bragging on you or making myself look bad? You got some amazing timing, brother. You got some amazing timing. At G-Dub, as I tell my women, I'd rather you have a mouthful of his blood than an ass full of his semen. Fight hard, fight dirty. See, I like that. G-Dub, I dig that. But again, just for specificity's sake, it's not just about mindset. If you don't drill those caveman strikes, if you don't drill building that aggression, you don't know my mindset, bro. I see red and no, dude, no. You see red and then you get raped and killed. Sorry, ladies, but there it is. Build the aggression, build the skills. Let go of the illusion. And if you were counting on some mystical adrenaline dump or the fact that, because your kids are under threat, you're just going to rise to it's not going to happen. Getting back to the Christian prepper forums, when I asked those questions, I was shocked. Not so much shocked as disappointed in the amount of people, particularly the pre-tribulation crowd, that either didn't train at all, period, or said that they did some level of training but still had all these illusions. One woman in particular, even an untrained person, in a thing, because they're going to be able to, no. Let go of those illusions because they will get you killed. How do you solidify? How do you manifest letting go of those illusions? Get your ass in and do the work. And that speaks to the third and final bullet point that I wanted to get into. And I'm gonna give you one more little bit of wisdom that I posted earlier. I'm going to give you the post and then I'm going to give you the follow-up post because it dovetails exactly with what I'm saying about remaining hard to kill in your old age. Guys, I won't bullshit you. I have been on a mass building cycle, the heaviest mass building cycle that I have been on in probably 10 years. You guys know that I have been on and off of steroids on one level or another since I was 30 years old. So that's 24 years now. Some stacks have been heavy, some stacks have been light. Sometimes it's basic TRT dosage, sometimes it's no dose for up to a year. But in and out, it's a pretty consistent thing. This was the post. Bart, you're not competing. You're 54 years old. You're not even really training people anymore. Why would you risk your health like this? What do you hope to gain? I want to know. Not speculate, know what my limits are. Speaking of Sonny, what do you think I go push him? Sonny's not going to go light on my ass. Ever. I'm crouched down in the mud trying to hold a plank position. He will step on the back of my fucking head and push my face into the dirt. It's out of love. I want to know, not speculate, know what my limits are, so I push them. I spar with dudes half my age. Legit. Half my age. Boxing, MMA, kickboxing, stick fighting. I spar dudes half my age with sticks. I pound out rounds on the bag after leg day. When my genetics say no more weight, your body can't take this, I push esters into my flesh that say, watch me. Now, here's the important bit, guys. Because a lot of people think this is some ego shit. It's not. It's not. What do you always hear me check? Mirror muscles. What do you hear me always express disdain for? Mirror muscles. I don't care how big my pecs are. I care what weight they can push. I don't care how big my delts are. I care how big of a sandbag I can chuck over my head. I don't care how big my quads are. I care if I can dip down, put that knee on the ground between your feet, catch that penetration step, and get that double leg takedown. This isn't about pride. This isn't about ego. I continue. This is about when the fight comes to me that I never, ever have to wonder if I'm ready or how far I'll be able to take it. And that's for good or for ill, let me point out. I know how far I can go in a scrap, and I know that the furthest I can go isn't anywhere close to where I used to be able to. So you got to recognize those limitations. That gets back to it not being about pride or ego. Humility. I know, for better, worse, win, lose, or draw, I know most men live their whole lives masking their fear of even making an educated guess with expensive shiny toys that they don't train with and the fuck around and find out bravado. We are not the same. Getting back to the guy I was berating earlier. You don't train because you don't want to know. Why do you think I seek out people like Sonny? Because I want to leave there. One of the things that he said the very first time I trained with him, man, nobody learned anything from Attaboy. He's going to put my face in the mud. He's going to break me down. He's going to remind me how bad I suck and that I need to suck less. What I'm not going to come away with from that is thinking that I'm some kind of supreme level badass. Because that's when the complacency kicks in. A lot of people got that bravado. They are afraid to take that leap. For what? For what? What are you afraid of? Finding out how bad you suck and then having to improve? For a lot of people, yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. They want to strut the earth thinking they're a god among men, that they're ready to step up to the occasion, and praying that occasion never happens. Praying that occasion never happens. I don't want that occasion to happen. But I know how far I can take it if it does. I'm no tier 1 operator. I'm no champion fighter. I'm no psycho strongman, no biker badass or tactical Ted. I am a fat, aging cripple. All of my skills have faded with the years, but I will still walk into the fire for what I love and not fear the flames because I know the limits of my ability to withstand the heat. The men and the women in my circle have no doubts about what I'm able to or not able and willing to do, nor I about them, and I'm honored to be surrounded and trusted by such men and women. For those without understanding, for those who posture that understanding, bring a knife to a gunfight, I'll just fucking shoot and fuck around and find out. Sound familiar? Tough guy? For those who posture that understanding, I pray that those you love will never be forced to confront the consequences of your failure to test what you arrogantly assume that you know. Now, if you'll excuse me, there's some iron and heavy bags in the garage that are calling me a bitch or some such. I got to correct them, not for their sake, but for my own. That was the post. And I caught flack immediately. But I took that flack and I rolled with it. For a lot of men troubled by my previous post, I'm not saying that you don't love your friends and family as much as I love mine. You're probably a much better husband. And it's almost doubtless that you are an infinitely better father. Probably more financially stable and prudent too. Dick's probably bigger and you drive a nicer car. What I'm saying is, it won't matter. It won't matter. When the monsters come, and they will, without training, without strength, you will get to watch in horror as everything you love is raped, killed, and taken from you. What a moment to have it revealed that I'll see red, adrenaline dump, mama bear syndrome, and maternal instincts aren't real things. And that bad guys have knives and guns too. Here's one just for the ladies, and I like bringing this up at the women's self-defense seminars. I worked a haunted house back in 1992. Johnny, if you're watching, you're already laughing because you know all the stories. I worked this haunted house. I got to play Pinhead. I'll spare you the long story out because they never let first-year guys play Pinhead, but I was built for this role, and we have such sights to show you. And I went in, and I got the prosthetics done every night, and I got to do the spark rod, and there was this huge, elaborate set, and the pillars of pain, and there's a pop-out scare out here, and then there's this hallway that comes down here. You're supposed to go out that way. And how it's supposed to work is they go out this way and then they go out, and I have a rod, which is hooked to a car battery, negatively charged up here, positively charged. When I hit up against the ceiling, it throws sparks. So you've got Pinhead with the nails and the leather and, and the sparks and everything. It was a blast. It was an absolute blast. Here is the point about maternal instinct. I was a dick, and I would bait them to come down that hallway, right? People are funny when they're scared, man. People did think, oh man, I'd never. Yes, you would, dude. You would piss yourself, like literally piss yourself. So they'd go and they'd start to go the other way. They'd be like confused, like, which way am I supposed to go? And I'd drop out of character. I'd use my regular voice. Down here, this way, come this way, right? Like lose the pinhead voice. And they're stumbling around in the dark and they're stumbling around in the dark until they get, and I'd wait until they got within about arm's reach. And then I would hit the spark rod, right? You know, and I'm in these Gene Simmons platform boots, you know, and I tear your soul apart, you know, and they would freak, man. They would lose it. They just haul ass, and you know, watching guys like put their friend's head through the sheetrock, and it was just hilarious. I had a blast. Here's the maternal instinct part, ladies. This is for you. I know that if my child was threatened, I would pull out all the stops. True story. Couple comes through this haunted house. They were part of a larger group. They were at the back of the larger group. They had a little girl with them. And this is one of the reasons why I'm going to hell. Let me just say that. Had my redemption and salvation not been bought, you know, washed in the blood of the Lamb, this is why I would be going to hell. They were part of a larger group, and they had a little girl with them who was way too young to have been in this haunted house. It was too shocking, it was too loud, it was too graphic. This child should not have been there. But I was in character, and I was wearing the accoutrement of the Hell Priest. And so I baited them. They were at the back of the group. Down here, this way, down here, this way. They got within arm's reach. I hit the spark rod. This is a man and his wife and his little child. And chased them down the hallway. Sparks flying everywhere. We got to a pinned-in dead corner. And they're all huddled against the wall. And I looked at the man, and I leaned into his face, and I said, leave the woman. This son of a bitch, bah, gone. Left him, standing there. You know where this is going. I was in character. I leaned into the woman. You know, this woman who, if you would have asked her 2 minutes earlier, if anybody messes with her kid, she's going to have an adrenaline dump and flip over cars. I leaned down into the face of this woman and I said, leave the child. When I said that, I was fully expecting her to launch into my ass. Like in my head, I had already was kind of, okay, she's going to swing on. Nope. Didn't miss a beat. Pivoted on one foot, hauled ass, and left this little child in the corner, staring up at this 6-foot+ demon. Remember, I'm wearing the platforms, okay? I know I'm short, take the easy joke. Looking up at this 6-foot demon with one little tear coming down her face like the Indian in the pollution commercial, right? And I broke character, and I'm just like, please, little girl, just go. Just go on. Just go. You know, I felt terrible. But that woman left her child for a demon that wasn't even real. But not you, lady. No, not you. No, sorry, Bob. You're in the same situation. Oh, yeah, you'll knuckle up. You'll grab anything you get your hands on and turn over cars to protect your child. No, you will freaking not. Let go of those illusions because they are ultimately going to get you killed. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Say, yeah, it was Tyson. Fear of knowledge of own suck. Very. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, this topic is as hard to convey to folks of faith as to non-believers. Totally agree, Sonny. And when you watch the replay, I want you to go back and see the whole dialogue on that. about the pre-tribulation people just having this excuse. Again, I think what it comes down to is the universal is they expect some force outside of themselves to magic them out of harm's way. For the pre-tribulation Christians, it's, God's going to snatch me up to the sky and I'm not going to have to deal with any of this. Um, for the secular people, it's like, well, I just know I'll get the adrenaline dump, man. I see red, bro. Fuck around and find out. Okay, man. I beg you, people. I beg you, please, please let go of these illusions. How do you remain hard to kill going into old age? All right. Well, not particularly proud of this, but I'm going to lay it out because I told you guys, and I will not lie about it. I have never lied about. I've never lied about any of this. This is because a few people had asked, what is your stack right now? I'm going to read this off. This isn't going to mean anything to some of you. The ones who it does mean something to are going to be going, holy shit. Okay. Because a few have asked, weekly. This is my weekly intake. 1,000 milligrams of Sustanon. That is my base. Yes, I said it. 1,000 milligrams of Sustanon a week. On top of that 1,000 milligrams of Sustanon, 500 milligrams of NPP, right? Nandrolone phenylpropionate. It's basically like short-acting DECA. 300 milligrams of testosterone, also referred to as Ment. Do a deep dive on that. It's some miracle stuff. And 300 to 500 milligrams of water-based Tren. Water-based Tren, because I'm insane. On top of that, I was running 2 orals. I just phased out the Anadrol because the liver toxicity is just something that I can't take in my 50s. I could in my 30s, not in my 50s. But I was taking 50 milligrams of Winstrol daily and 50 milligrams of Anadrol every other day. And then, of course, there's some peptides, some BPCs, and other things like that. I did this as a last hurrah, okay? This is not something that I have either the intention of or the capacity for continuing to do. At this point in my life, in all likelihood, I will be on at least base level testosterone for as long as I continue to draw breath. That's probably inevitable at this point. This stack I did because I had 8 weeks and I just said, I'm 54 years old. I will never have the chance to do this again. It was the perfect storm. I have a backlog of juice. I have 8 weeks where I don't have to do anything but eat, lift, and sleep. I will not get this chance again. So I thought, what the hell? Let's do it. Let's see how big we can get. You guys will note I keep wearing baggier and baggier clothes every week. I haven't done any vanity shots because I don't want to, I don't want to make it about ego or pride. But I know you guys can see that my muscle mass has increased substantially. And another thing that you guys will observe, thankfully, the carnivore diet, ordinarily, particularly with the Anadrol, I would be packing about 7 chins right now. I would be wearing more chins than a Chinese phone book, and I would have the big puffy chipmunk cheeks and just be, that hasn't happened. The carnivore diet has kept me in line. Why are you telling me all this, part? Well, I'll tell you why. Baseline testosterone dosage, guys, for the men out there. Some people have never done it. Some people have no desire to do it, and I completely respect that. What I will say is, if it is available to you, baseline TRT dosage, 250 milligrams of testosterone cypionate every week, maybe a little less. Get your blood work done. If your testosterone level is flagging, there are natural supplements that will elevate your testosterone levels. There are lifestyle changes that you can make that will elevate your testosterone levels. None of these will be as effective for the end game as actual testosterone. Sorry, but there it is. Guys, no matter how superhuman we would like to think that we are, we age. Our bodies have limitations. Confronting those limitations gets back to the earlier bullet point about losing your illusions. I will not. Let me parse my words here. I cannot visualize a scenario in which I could see myself squat lifting 600 pounds for reps again. Used to, probably not going to happen. But as far as remaining hard to kill, and that was the main bullet point, was remaining hard to kill as you go into your old age. It is important that you adopt some sort of physical training regimen. Does it have to be on the level that I'm doing? I think that would not only be irresponsible for most of you, but counterproductive. Why? Because you haven't remained consistently training. I never broke. I might have a couple months here and a couple months there where I'm not training at peak capacity, but I haven't had like just a 2 year, let alone 10-year period or 5-year period where I've just sat back and went, screw it. I was going to clinic 400 sip a week, really helped, but got expensive. Did labs and always kept up when we had a crit and estrogen levels. Yep. Mike, that's the way you do it if you're smart. Here's the thing. Going to a clinic, you are actually going to pay less going through underground channels than you will going to a clinic. And that's something that you and I can talk about privately. But yeah, strangely enough, when I was running marathon training, my test went up 350 points naturally. And that stone, perfect that you brought that up. Lifestyle changes. Do deep dives, people. And again, I am not a medical professional, but I'm telling you what works for me. Testosterone replacement therapy works. Lifestyle changes like, and you've already heard me and I've gotten evangelical about it because it works for me, carnivore diet. At the very least, go keto. Peel those processed carbs out of your freaking diet. They are doing you no good. They're hurting you. I didn't believe it either. I didn't believe it either. The closer is going to be about prioritizing based around what we believe and be able to let go of things. Keep in mind, once upon a time, I believed in man-made global warming. Probably a lot longer than I should have. I continued to believe in that. Point being, because of what I thought I knew, I can't build muscle mass without carbs. I can't, I need my, my rice and my oatmeal and my this and that. Again, full disclosure, I do have, this is my carb intake right now. I broke protocol this week and I had a bacon triple cheeseburger. Okay, there, I said it. Outside of that, the only carbs that I'm taking in are a bowl of oatmeal before I lift, and only on days that I lift. Okay, so that's the discipline. You don't have to go that hardcore about it, but I promise you, if you reduce the amount of carbs in your diet, you're going to feel it. But the main thing is, and I cannot stress this enough, and we've been over this a dozen times before, but it's coming down to crunch time, people. You have to adopt some sort of physical training regimen. There's a certain insane Russian with whom I am acquainted that can put you through a simple body weight trifecta that will smoke you up in ways that even consistent strength training athletes will sit back and go, dude, what the hell? Leg raises and 20 push-ups. It's just 20 push-ups. I think, yep, right, thank you. Shit, shower, shave, plank, leg hold, come try. There you go. That pretty well sums it up. Guys, literally, it's just 20 push-ups. I swear. It's just 20 push-ups. And you will curse my name and his by the time it is over with. You can do it with just body weight. If you have body weight and some resistance bands, cool. If you've got body weight and a kettlebell, wow. I have a fully equipped gym because I've spent years building that fully equipped gym, and it serves all sorts of purposes, from combatives to strength training to powerlifting to drag sleds to tire flipping to punching heavy bags to working a Wing Chun dummy. Oh, did a Wing Chun dummy? Yeah, I've got a Wing Chun dummy. Yeah, got a couple of Bob bags too. You don't need all that. You can get by without it, and by God, you had better be doing something. Don't give in to thinking, well, I'm just. It's Russian magic. That's what I used to tell people, Sonny. That's what I used to tell people because I'd have them doing swings, and I know you're not a fan of swings, but I'd have them do swings, and they're like, the next day their lats would be sore, their lats and their biceps would be sore, and they're like, we didn't do any like rows or curls or anything. Like what? It was like, no, it's not Newtonian physics. It's Russian magic. It's Russian magic. Nothing more. Not Newtonian physics. Um, I love the kettlebell, man. I freaking love it. Sonny and I differ in our approaches to the kettlebell, and that's totally cool. Um, but he knows the roots of where I come from. Like he knows about guys like like Steve Cotter. He knows about guys like Valery Fedorenko. He knows about these guys. He knows where the roots of my approach come and what my goals are with regard to that. Sonny's program will kill you, right? Carried to its proper extreme, Sonny's approach to kettlebells will freaking kill you. Which is why he doesn't try to kill you with it. He will give you the basics to get by and advance your level of physical conditioning. In any case, you had better be doing something because it's getting down to crunch time. You got a gun? Oh, you got a gun. Fuck you. I've been really good about F-bombs. Okay, I've been really, really checking my F-bombs. But when it comes down to the point that I'm trying to make here, you got a gun? Fuck you. Or you got a knife? Fuck you. With that karambit. You had better train. Are you going to be an A-level fighter? Nope. Will even a year with Sonny make you a tier 1 operator? No, it will not. But it's like the old fable that I keep coming back to about outrunning the bear. I don't have to outrun the bear. I just got to outrun you. Push, people. Push. Going forward. And when it comes down to prioritizing, man, I'm just going to touch on this. And then, I just want to touch on this so I hit the bullet point. When you're talking about priorities, and I'm going to tie it all in here to what we were talking earlier about the mental environment. Think about the things that you can change. Think about the things that you should be focused on. We are at a point of spiritual warfare. If you are secular, tune me out. That's cool. I don't need you to believe it. We're at a point of spiritual warfare. Focus on things that are not distractions. Focus on things of substance. You sit there and you do your dab or your bong rip, and you want to regale me with how all of the atmospheric nuclear tests were a deep NASA cover up about how we couldn't fire missiles past the firmament and it was all part of the flat earth. Getting back to the F-bombs. Fuck you. If you believe that as a matter of faith, that's fantastic. Oh. Oh, sorry, Sonny. If I'd have known Arya was there, I wouldn't have been dropping the F-bombs. That was irresponsible. I apologize. Froze like that girl in the haunted house, but neither me nor I freaking love y'all so much, man. If you believe these things as a matter of faith, if you legitimately believe that there has been this massive cover up, that there was a mud flood less than 150 years ago, and that the entire historical record has blanked it out on purpose, and that great Tartarian civilization was buried under the same cover up of the same, conspiratorial agents who want you to forget that we live on a flat disk and the sun revolves around us. And, great. I don't care. I don't care. What do I care about? Legitimate monsters. That's what I care about. I care that we know and can verify that people who hold themselves up as being our leaders are involved in pedophilia. This isn't subject for discussion. That isn't tinfoil hat. And when you go off on your flat earth Tartarian mud flood nonsense, guess what? They get to slide all of that under the same tinfoil thing. Why? For your pride, your arrogance, and your freaking ego. Because something as stupid as flat earth and Tartarian mud flood makes you feel like you've got a secret. I'm smarter than these other Kool-Aid drinkers. Guys like Bart drinking the Kool-Aid. It's caffeinated lemonade, first off. Oh, yeah, you're so much smarter, man. So much smarter than everybody else. That is your ego. That is your ego. And enables you to piss on the people out here lighting candles. Getting back, I told you I was going to tie it all in. Elon out here lighting candles and trying to elevate the species. And you're pissing on his candle. Why? Because his candle's based on a lie. SpaceX, it's all a lie. We've never been outside the atmosphere. We've never gotten above the firmament, dude. You're just drinking the Kool-Aid, bruh. Wow, it's almost like there was a direct correlation between your cannabis use and this idiocy. I told you, man, I'm on one, dude. I'm on one. I'm at my wit's end. With otherwise intelligent people right now, I'm at my wit's end. But I got to cut them loose because getting back to what we talked about, the very first bullet point, it is polluting to the mental environment. Focus on what you can fix. Focus on what you know. Focus on recognizing that monsters walk among us. That some of them are in highly elevated positions of politics, entertainment, academia, propaganda / media machine. They diddle children. Some of the higher elected officers are facilitating, whether they are doing it on purpose or not. That is a discussion I will entertain with you some other time. But the end result is that the cartels control the border and millions of kids are being sold. So stuff your flat earth and stuff your Tartarian mud flood. And every other obscure, esoteric bit of objectively, demonstrably, provably bullshit. All just so you can feel like you've got a secret. All just so you can feel like you're a little bit smarter than the rest of us, unwashed and brainwashed. Focus. Get your head and your purpose focused on the things that we should be paying attention to. And the single most important part of that is how much you can elevate yourself. Maybe instead of reading about Tartarian mud floods and flat earth nonsense, your ass ought to be under a weight bar. Maybe instead of doing deep dives on how atmospheric nuclear testing was our missiles butting up against the firmament, maybe you ought to be doing deep dives on the nature of a carnivore diet and how it can benefit your health. That maybe instead of watching YouTube videos on the massive cover-up of the great history that could have been, I swear that's what the guys sound like. He really does. The massive cover-up and the great history that could have been. How about do a YouTube video on basic kettlebell function? How about instead of going to a coffee clutch with a bunch of flat earth idiots spending money on books on nonsense. Maybe put that $200, $300, $400 into a training class. It's not that I think you're stupid. I know that you're stupid. It's the fact that you have abandoned all reason and all priority for the sake of narrative and zealotry. And if that is what you base the priorities of your existence on, you are nothing more than the flip side of an Antifa coin. Screw reason, screw priority. This is the hill that I've chosen to die on. I hope it's a hill so tall that you can look out and see the ice wall at the end of your flat earth. Moron. Get with the program. Get with the things that you need to be working on because all these distractions going forward are taking brain power that you have demonstrated at one time or another, communication skills that you have demonstrated at one time or another, and pulling it away. And if you were gonna walk out with that Crusader cross on your shield, what is that but the work of the deceiver? Oh, you have a gift? Boy, let's see if we can muddle your head and get to where that gift doesn't do anyone any good anymore. So if you're wondering what levels it offends me on, now you know. And as I said before, if that short dicks every cannibal on the Congo and hair lips every hillbilly on Buck Creek, that is a hill that I'm willing to die on. And I'll put that hill anywhere on the globe. Fix it. Get yourself right. Move forward for the team or get off the damned field. Because intellectual masturbation is not a luxury that we can any longer afford. I want to close with a prayer, folks. We're a little bit over time here. Appreciate you guys coming out. Before I pray, I want to bring this up. I went and saw Brian Callen last night at Spokane Comedy Club. I have known about Callen's skill set in combatives. Dude's got hands. I mean, he's got legit hands. He's also a very skilled jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's got a phenomenal ground game. But what I've found in going and seeing him is that he is also quite the intellect, and it turns out a man of faith. And I had a very good conversation. With him after the show. And before he left, I got to pray with the man. And I just want to tell you, man, if you're out there and you're looking for a comedic voice that is original, that will slip in some spiritual stuff on you that you didn't see coming. He had a really good bit about Jesus and Adderall. And when he delivered that bit, I was watching him, because I practiced the craft myself. And I watched this bit. And I watched his delivery, and I saw what he was doing. I was like, he's going to slide this one in right under the radar, man. But after the bit, it was like he slid that element of faith in, and he did it so slick that like half the people there didn't even realize what he'd just done. I thought it was magnificent. So that was a really, really good experience that I had with Brian Callen last night. So if you get the chance to see Brian Callen live, go see him. go see him. He's a great comic, but having some personal interaction with him now, he's not just a great comic. He's a really genuine human being and a man of faith, and that to me is always worth supporting. Anyway, I'm going to close. I'm going to close here with a prayer. Lord God, as always, things that I ask you most for are clarity and discernment. Always clarity and discernment, because the tools of the deceiver are always out there. Those deceptions from the father of lies are always out there, looking to distract, looking to mislead. Sometimes I get spun up in my own doubts. Sometimes we all get spun up in our own doubts. We forget to lay those burdens on your shoulders. We forget to realize and accept that all of this is part of the divine plan. Whether it's adversity or glory, it's all part of the divine plan. And we get ourselves spun up in doubt, and we get ourselves spun up in distractions, and we lose sight of the mission. Lord, help me to always be mindful that there is nothing special about me beyond the gifts with which I have been blessed from your hand from birth. And that any of those gifts that have been given to me need to be working to make me a more effective vessel for your will and your word here in this earth. I ask that you help me to touch hearts, to touch souls, to bring your children home, and the ones who aren't ready to be brought home, at least help me to elevate their consciousness to make sure that they are ready for the fight to come. Because it's here, Lord. It's here. Whether people see it for what it is, or whether people want to call it whatever they want to call it, however it is, they got to make their peace with it, that's fine. But one way or the other, the fight's here, and it's on us. I ask for the strength for all of us to get through that fight. May the glory be yours, and if we die, pray that we die well. It's ordained by the blood of your Son, scourged, tortured, and murdered on that cross to buy redemption for what could not be redeemed, Lord. I pray these things in the name of the risen Christ, whom I ever serve. Amen. I appreciate y'all, man. I do. Thank you for bearing with me through all this. I'm on a bit of a tirade today, man. In a bit of a mood. But like we said before, this is kind of my therapy. And it works out. When you guys are here, it's fantastic because I don't feel like a lone voice in the wilderness so much anymore. And that's a really powerful thing, man. It means more to me than you know. We'll go ahead and kick out the outro music on the way out. Go out with some Clutch, Fortunate Son, like we always do. I really don't even know how well the music and the background sounds are coming through. I've been having some difficulties with the microphone, but you guys have been really cool, really patient. I'm going to go ahead and pass around that little digital collection plate, man. If you guys want to throw me some coin, going into Christmas week, we could definitely use it. I'm on PayPal, I'm on Venmo, I'm on Cash App, I'm on Facebook Pay, I'm on all that good stuff. It's not a huge thing if you want to kick down something that'd be outstanding. But I get it. We're still reluctantly in a Biden economy for at least a little while longer. So some people are not going to be up for it. Some people are not going to be able, and that's totally cool. But as I was thanking you guys for earlier, both retroactively and preemptively going forward, retroactive and preemptive, those are my college words. I got like 3 of those. I thank you guys for sharing. If you got it on your own social media, you want to post the replay and tell some other people about the program. Say, hey, man, there's a fat, toothless cripple that gets on once every Sunday and rants and raves for a couple hours. Check him out. I would appreciate that. But here's what you can do for yourself as well as for me, for everybody that you love and all the people that love you, man. And my man Stone is always saying, live the 3, baby, live the 3. What is it to live the 3, man? The signal-to-noise ratio is always screwed up. They will try to bury you with the noise and assure you that there is no such thing as a signal. So you have to be that signal to push through the noise. They will try to bury you with the darkness, try to demoralize you, dehumanize you, emasculate you, have you thinking there is nothing left but darkness. You have got to be the light, or at least the man that carries the light through the darkness. To get that light into the world, to get that light to the people who love you and the people that you love and the people that you treasure. people that count on you and the people that you count on. You got to be that light in the darkness. But above and beyond all of that is the iron rule, the prime directive. You have got to be strength in a world full of weakness. And it's not just this strength. This is important, but here, even here. Because without that strength, nothing else matters. Without the strength, you will not have this. You will not have the power and the might to carry that signal through the noise. You will not have the resilience and the fortitude to carry that light through the darkness. So strength above all, man. That is the iron rule. I love you guys, man. God bless you all. Going into Christmas week, man. I love y'all. I will see you here. I will see you here, man. Thanks again. I love every one of y'all, man. God bless you. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you next Sunday. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. Peace. Love y'all, man. So much. Thank you. From my heart, man. Thank you.